In this episode of The Retirement Spy, Duncan discusses the challenges and considerations of retirement planning that's non-financial. He emphasizes the importance of identifying personal barriers to retirement, such as attachment to work identity, lack of hobbies, and lack of purpose in retirement. Duncan encourages listeners to create a purposeful retirement by reflecting on the past, interests, and structuring their days to include meaningful activities. He outlines the 8 areas of focus for a fulfilling retirement and stresses the need for a structured daily plan to avoid falling into unproductive habits. Welcome to The Retirement Spy, where our mission is to help those who are ready to retire financially but haven't planned for what to do in their golden years to have more fun and a meaningful life in retirement. I've interviewed scores of people who are approaching retirement and have long since left the working world. This podcast will discuss the dilemmas we all face as we approach this phase of life and some helpful suggestions to make the most of our golden years. So what's holding you back from retirement? I've heard many excuses. Let's review a few of them. Excuse number 1, you love your work. I am not sure I would agree with this. You love your paycheck, you love your title, your friends, your colleagues, your routine and power. Pew Research shows 51% of those in the workforce are extremely satisfied with their jobs, which means over 40% are not. 40% of the people say that their job is their identity and their significance. This is understandable. You have been known as the go-to person for years, or have been known as the vice president, head of the XYZ department, and other titles that we've carried over our years. Our identity for some 40-odd years has been tied up in what we do. You go to a picnic, a cocktail party, a church function, and what's the first thing that someone says when they first meet you? What do you do for a living? It is how people categorize us, or worse yet, judge us on the significance scale. Either you are worthy of attention or not. You have an identity. What happens when you no longer have a title for people to understand who you are? What would your title be in retirement? I've interviewed so many people, and I've had some funny cards that I've been handed over the years. One said that they were the CEO, meaning Chief Entertainment Officer. One's title said unemployed but not looking. Some simply say investor. One I thought was very funny that said purveyor of travel excursions, and one said guru. What's the real answer? You love your position at work, the power, the prestige, and friends because it gives you an identity and significance that you may lose if you retire. Excuse number 2, you worry about running out of money. This can be a real concern, and it's outside the scope of this podcast. We're under the assumption at the Retirement Spy that you have already come to peace with the amount of money you will need to live a full retirement life and that you are ready to go. I believe that getting on with phase 2 is more important so you can live fully and then make tweaks over time as necessary. How bad would it be for you to work 5 more years to ensure that you have plenty for retirement to die 6 months after this? What a waste of life. I believe that many of you have enough to retire and will feel more comfortable if you become an expert in budgeting and understand investments a little bit better. Please talk to your professionals to get the right answers here, and we'll comment on other topics like this in later podcasts. The real answer is only you know how much you need to retire, and you can act accordingly. Excuse number 3, maybe just a little more money would be helpful. Insatiability for just a little bit more? I see it at every level. From the person who wants just a little more money so they can pay off a mortgage or buy that recreational vehicle. The one they've always wanted to travel around the plains of the United States with. Like the last section, only you know what the right amount of money is and what it'll be to meet that desire for just a little bit more. But what's the cost? The clock is ticking, which brings us to the real answer. The real answer is just like the previous section. Find out exactly what you are comfortable with in retirement and don't turn back. When you hit the number, get out and begin living the big life. Excuse number 4. I'm working for the kids. So how much do you really want to leave your children and your grandchildren? How much is too much for them? Have you had discussion of this number with them? What's the trade-off of money for them by working longer versus the time you could be spending with them or your grandchildren? What's the real answer? The real answer is ask yourself the question if you are really working for them or for you. It's reasonable if really working for them that you set a well-thought-out amount to be helpful, i.e. working a little bit longer to help fill the 529 plan for your grandkids, working a little longer to pay down your house payments. Create boundaries that make sense and move on. Excuse number 5. How am I going to fill in the 40-hour work week void? This is the most honest answer I get, and the purpose of the retirement spy. You haven't thought about what else you will do after retirement. You've lost hobbies, pursuits, and pastimes because of work obligations, family commitments, and other things. You may miss your work routine. All of us need to have something to retire to, and we need to begin thinking about this way in advance of hitting our retirement number. What did you enjoy doing before you entered the rat race and having kids and chasing the almighty dollar? A slight hint, it's not one thing. It's a dozen pastimes that don't need to be productive or important relative to the job that you're doing now. They aren't necessarily tied to money or advancing your job title. How do you spend your weekends now? Let me suggest that golf for 7 days a week in retirement is not a retirement plan. One brilliant idea that may be available to some of you is to take a sabbatical from work before you retire to do some introspection about retirement. Our professors understand what a sabbatical is, and they've taken advantage of this. But even in corporate America is embracing sabbaticals for their professionals so they can recharge. Maybe you have the benefit of what I call a forced sabbatical. You got laid off, and now you're ready for retirement but nervous. This is an opportunity to regroup and prepare to re-enter the workforce or to retool for what we call here at the Retirement Spy Phase 2 and the wonders that it brings. The real answer? You have time if you start early to plan for exactly what the golden years will be like, and you can start mentally preparing for retirement. When it hits you fast. Take time to do a retreat to figure this out. Excuse number 6, I haven't won the game yet. It's all about competitiveness. Work is a game and winning is the goal, the hunt, the kill. Your goals are tangible. These are my friends who will probably never retire and the ones that are most in trouble. I see this in the uber wealthy who have targets that are far out of most people's reach. It's not about the retirement number or financial security. It's about the career resume, the book written about them, the golden parachute from the corporate exit, the jet, the third home. It's a life resume that is sought after, or a magazine cover or an article in the Wall Street Journal. Life is a comparison at one level. It's being a part of the 1%, but even more so than that, it's being part of an ultra elite and being competitive to get there. It's the ability to hold your head high in a very small crowd of people. Though materialistic, and I pass no judgment here, this crowd is extremely well gifted. They are knights of the round table. They are conquering warriors of modern day era, titans of industry who have a drive, a purpose, a calling. They aren't out to retire because of the money. It's just a means for financial independence for some, but it's for them a gauge of comparison amongst a very small group of peers. It's a fun job if you can get it, but not for everyone. What's the real answer? These retiree prospects rarely get off the gerbil wheel, as I would call it, because of what they do as a calling in their own minds, and producing wealth is what they do. I assure you, retirement is not in their vocabulary. Rarely does the competitive objective not change to another platitude or a battle for another day at another company. So, what's the call to action here? Way before you think of retirement, you need to have a plan to fill the void. You have to have something to retire to, a purpose, a series of purposes that will give you significance. Let me suggest an action plan with steps that can help you along this plan. Step number 1, reflect on your childhood. Yes, you heard me correctly. Reflect on your childhood. And here you will find what you enjoyed with the free summers, time after school, when homework was done. What did you enjoy during this time of life when you didn't have the constraints of the career? Was it reading, fishing, collecting things, playing games, exploring, riding your bike? The book, How to Retire Happy, Wild, and Free by Ernie Zelinsky will give you some ideas of how to approach this with great ideas you may have forgotten about and new ideas that can help push you forward into your golden years. Also, the dark comedy with Jack Nicholson called About Schmidt will give you tremendous motivation on how to build a better plan before retirement. This process is harder than you think. Step number 2 in the call to action. You need to have categories to implement phase 2. I've created a list of 8 areas of focus in retirement that I would suggest are a great backbone or a structure to help you plan your day-to-day activities. I call them the 8 F's of major life and areas to focus on. Category number 1 is faith. Without any preconceived affiliation, get in touch with your higher power on a regular basis. That may be God, Allah, Spirit. You know where I'm going. If you consider yourself atheist or agnostic, I challenge you to spend some time challenging your own theology for further refinement. As I get closer to my ultimate demise, I find the greater your faith, gives me at least more comfort in approaching death, and the happier I'll be living out my golden years in phase 2 with fulfillment. How you feel each week getting closer to your faith community. Category number 2 is family. Immediate and extended, love makes the world go round. And the more time spent mending broken relationships and supporting those you love, the more enjoyable your life will be. This will be a challenge as I find many people don't have great communication with their siblings and their family. Work on it. Who do you want to plan to spend more time with? How can you make this happen? Are there fences that are left to be mended? How can you start? Category number 3 is finance. Our assumption in this podcast is that money you need is already set aside in some form of investment, or pension, and you're being provided for. However, you will still need to monitor these investments and budget your expenses in a manner that will give you comfort. Allocate time weekly to work on this, but unless it's a hobby, daily scanning of the stock market in your portfolio may not be helpful due to the turbulence that can cause you to make poor decisions. Manage your money so it's stress-free. That means getting educated on money or having a professional that can help give you peace of mind relative to your finances. How will you allocate your time to act fiscally responsible while not ruining your retirement with stress? This is a part of retirement planning. Category number 4 is fitness. As we age, we suffer muscle atrophy and health decline. It's just inevitable. We can slow the process with good diet and regular exercise. Not only cardiovascular, but anaerobics, meaning weight training, is critical for body strength. Make plans for physical and mental exercise to help keep you mentally sharp and physically strong. And do it as a part of your plan, but first consult with your physician to make sure you're doing it correctly. How will your week's schedule time be for gym and for walks and for this activity? How will you avoid bad eating habits? This is a part of the plan. Category number 5 is formation. Formation should be thought about as what are you growing into? I feel it's important to continually grow, learn, and evolve as we get older, not only for our mental health and acuity, but also for purpose. How will you continue to grow and learn to serve? Wonder of the modern day world is our access to knowledge and education. Online platforms such as Udemy, Coursera offer a multitude of resources to learn new hobbies, to advancing our skills, to better the world, and much of the online education is free. Do you want to learn how to code like your kids? Is it your passion to learn more about World War II history? There's so many things in this world that you can learn more about and enjoy. Do you want to start a podcast? Growth keeps us from rotting on the vine. Explore new areas of learning that appeal to you and keep your mind growing strong. Category number 6 is fun. This is what retirement's all about, right? Unfortunately, you have to make a plan daily to get off your butt to have fun. While television and social media may be enjoyable, it's not necessarily fun. Get up and get out and put limitations on television and social media. Sloth is my number one avoidance, and social engagement has been proven to help increase your longevity. So whatever fun is, try to do it with others. What do you enjoy doing? Dancing, fishing, travel, golf, mahjong, bridge, reading. Think hard about how you exercise above and what you're going to do in this category and allocate time for fun. Yoga can be fun, socially engaging, and healthy. Be proactive daily. Category number 7 is friends. Survey after survey find that the longevity of life is directly correlated to the quality of friends that you enjoy on a regular basis. As you leave the workforce, not everyone is going to go with you, so you will leave many relationships back at the office who will not be able to drop what they are doing to go skydiving with you or to have lunch with you when you're ready. Helpful hint. Get friends that are 10 years younger than you and 10 years older than you. Why? So you can be challenged by those younger than you are to live a more challenging life, and that you'll have friends around when you live to 100 and while your contemporaries are all dying out. You want older friends, of course, so you can gain the wisdom from what lies ahead, from what they've seen and what lies ahead. Category number 8 is kind of a misnomer. It's not an F, but I call it philanthropy. So phonetically, it's an F. It is unofficial here because it's spelled phonetically, and it's not for everyone. To be clear, I'm not suggesting philanthropy is money donation of any magnitude, but what I am suggesting is the world has blessed you with financial stability, and community service should be part of your life to pay back what has been given to you. We're so fortunate to be able to retire, and maybe we do owe something back from the world that's provided so much to us. This may be as simple as doing volunteer work down at the church, maybe working in the soup kitchen, to having a foundation established so you can give money back regularly. How and where you give back to your community is up to you. How can you build awareness to a cause that's in need that you can help with, that you're passionate about, that you're connected to? Those are the 8 F's. Moving on to step 3 is creating a daily structure for your retirement plan. Now let's take a look at this retirement plan. Just like you did navigate your career in phase 1, you had an 8 to 5 schedule that you put together each day in that area that we called work. How will you now spend your days and weeks preparing for it and living a fulfilled retirement? The areas of phase 2 we outlined in the previous section are where you want to set your goals for fulfillment. What continuing education do you need? Who do you need to meet with? What tools do you not have yet in retirement that you need? This will take a methodical plan and approach as you would do a job in an 8 to 5 world. Take these 8 areas we discussed for your focus and do a weekly time map of how you want to spend your time. Write out a 8 to 8 for 7 days a week and label it the ideal week in phase 2. This is an exercise to begin to fill the vacancies that's created from the loss of a 40-hour work week. When will you wake up? Where will you go each day? How will you engage in the world? For example, early morning can cover your faith with morning and devotional prayer. This can also be a good time to clear your mind on formation and what formation could be and how you want to grow, to take on new hobbies, new courses, maybe flying a drone, maybe writing a book. Another good morning routine would be working on your fitness with yoga or Tai Chi classes. A late morning could be reviewing the stock market and how your finances are doing. Lunch could be catching up with a friend or serving in your philanthropy with work at a food kitchen. Afternoon could be for fun, for a rewarding morning by playing a little golf or pickle in the afternoon with friends. And then the evening can be reserved for family and friends over a wonderful barbecue at your house, a weekly poker game with your friends, and maybe a wine club or a book club. See where I'm headed? The danger is not in creating a structure. The danger in not creating a structure is falling into bad habits of social media and television. These are not necessarily bad, but anyone who has partaken in this area will know the downward spiral these habits can take you. As my mother would always say, anything can be good in moderation. The Retirement Spy needs feedback and input. Our goal is building a community by providing tips, trips, and traps to help you not only prepare for a great phase 2, but also ideas to help you enjoy a life as it was meant to be. You can learn more about us or sign up at www.theretirementspy.com or contact us via email at hello@theretirementspy.com, or you can find us on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. Please share your insights and ideas that would be helpful for all of us as we seek to live our best lives in phase 2.